Hey, so this is how we're going to remove the rear struts and suspension from the back of an Alfa Romeo GT. This is a 2005 1.9 JTD. First thing we need to do is get in there with a wire brush and really just give everything a bit of a scrub, because there's going to be lots of rust back here and the rust makes bolts really hard to get out. So we'll give them a scrub down with a wire brush and then put some plus gas or WD-40 on there to help loosen them up. We'll be starting by removing the brake caliper, and then we'll come down from underneath the brake caliper to the rear parts of the suspension, move some bolts from there. Then we'll be going inside the car and removing a single top bolt, and then the whole thing will just drop out. So yeah, okay, it's not really a difficult job. It's just difficult in that things get rusted and they don't move and whatnot. So let's just crack on with that and see how we go. So this is the top link, job link, sorry. I'm going to get around that. These things rust solid and they can be an absolute nightmare to remove. So we're going to get in there, remove the crud. As much as possible. Right in. Okay. Then a little bit of plus gas. Give it a good soak front and back. There we are. And while that's soaking in, we can move on to this one just here. Okay, so this bolt goes all the way through to this side, and there's a spacer in there as well. This is the most difficult bolt to remove. So once again, let's get on there, try and remove as much rust as possible. On both sides. Move the camera over, maybe you can see a bit better. Really get in here. You see how rusty that is. Okay. Give it a good soaking, and then give the spacer a good soaking as well. And then in between this strut, the bolt carries on through, and you can see it down this gap. So give that a good soaking, and then the bolt on the other end. Try not to spray it in your eye. Okay, so that's that bit. Next we need to move on to removing the brake caliper. Right, the next stage is to remove the caliper. There's two bolts. There's one at the top, which you might not be able to see, and there's one at the bottom, just there. Okay, you're going to need a 13mm spanner to undo those.
Green one, but there's no blade in it.
Okay, there's another nut that's just spinning with it.
He's wearing double denim to the party. And if you want to show me what you're going to use.
Or not, maybe. Oh, no, there's not. It's just, it is coming out. Where is it? Just trying to work out if that is coming out or not, actually. Okay, I'm back, got my lump hammer. There it is. Okay, so just gonna give it a couple of, just to loosen it. Okay, and then we can use a crowbar just to get in there, pry it out. Here it comes. There we go. We can put that, press that down there, put this cable under there, so you can see what's going on. So that's that bit there. Okay, so now we need to move back around to the front. Right, so back to the drop links. You're going to need a ring spanner like this one. It's a size 17. Okay, longer the better because you need a little bit of leverage. And if you've got them, a set of Allen keys. So I think it's H5. Now, this metal is so soft, it's stupid. It will almost certainly round out as you're trying to do this, but you know, you just have to do the best you can. So the best thing to do is to hammer it in place. Is to hammer that in place as much as you can get it before you start, to get a bit of a grip. And then you want to get your 17mm ring spanner. Okay, whack it over the top. Put it in a place where you've got some leverage. And then you can attach, I don't know what size is that, let me think. Is it a 12, do you think? No, it's not 12. 11? No, it's definitely a 10, isn't it? It's got 10 gone. That's a 10. There we are. So we can use the 10 to counter it. Oh, there we go. Takes a bit of time, this one. Anything you can do to not ruin the drop link that's there is going to save you a little bit of cash, to be honest, because the rubber dust cover on the back, they split really easy, and if that happens then it's an MOT fail. So it's that kind of mixture of, you've got to be rough to get it going, but you don't want to be so rough that you end up breaking it. If you can, the Allen key that's in the middle, don't twist it, just hold it in place, because if you twist it there's a really good chance it will round out eventually, and then you're going to have a nightmare getting this back on again. So only counter the pressure against the wrench, don't actually sort of contribute. Let's put a bit more plus gas on there, I think, because it's not being friendly, is it? Doing that, I should have that in first. Oh, I think we'll forward wind this bit, okay. Okay, so we're a bit further on. Oh, look at that. It's literally just come off. See that? There we are, that's that split. And then we just push it behind there. So we need to give all of this a clean out, and we need to really give that a clean out as well. So we'll put that back on for now. We'll put that back on with it. And then we'll actually clean these threads out, so it'll make it easier for it to come back on. So that's that stage. Alright. Now then, we need to release these pipes, okay? Because they're attached to here. So if we get them out of the way, when it comes to taking the suspension off, it just makes it a little bit easier. And how does that go? Oh, no, I was right the first time. Oh, there's a little spring, that's why. There's a little spring holding it there. Lift that out of the way. Ah, there we go. And that's that bit out. So at least that part of the job is done. So now what we're going to be moving on to are the 2 bolts on the side. Now these are going to be pigs, and you will need a breaker bar for it. Okay, but I'm going to have a cup of tea, and I'll speak to you in a bit. Okay, so now we're on to the next 2 bolts. They're both 19, so here's the top one. The other one's down here, we'll show you that in a minute. The one that's down here is really difficult. This one is just difficult. So you will need a breaker bar, okay, with a 19mm on the end of it. Okay, and then give it a tighten once you've done that, and then untighten, and then tighten, and then untighten, untighten. See, this is the advantage of having the car up on really high axle stands, is that you get a lot more angle. I don't think that's yet loose enough for my impact, but we'll have a go. No, not yet. But we will. Let's stick a little bit more on the ends. Let's have a look and see if the impact will work on it now. If not, we can go into fast forward mode. Okay, right. Put a 19 on this end of it. There we go. Right, where is it? It's just there. So then we can use one of these as a punch on the end of the bolt, and then use your lump hammer. You may need to give it a bit of welly. Hold on a second, just try and get an angle. Coming out bit by bit, slowly work. There's that bottom plus gasket on. Put a bit more on there. Okay. Coming a bit more. It's barely on to swing a cat, let alone a hammer. Just gonna Right, we're going to have to stick it on fast forward, okay? So I'll be back in a sec. Well, here it is, the little bugger. It's out. It took me about 20 minutes to get this out, and I found the only way you can do it is to loosen as much as you can, and then tighten, and then loosen, and then tighten, and loosen, and tighten. And if you've got a lump hammer, and you'll need one of these, which is a punch at the other end, and or maybe a centre punch, which I do have but I can't find. You'll need to give that sort of a good bang, okay, to as hard as you can, to as far as it will go, and then get back on it with a torque wrench or a torque drill like my one, and then use that to loosen it a bit more, and then tighten it again, and then go through the process of hammering it one end, loosen, tighten, hammering one end, loosen, tighten, add more plus gas or WD-40, loosen, tighten, and then it comes out sort of like 5mm at a time. You just really have to work through it. It will come out eventually, but it's not like most bolts. It won't just slide out, you know, you've got to work at it. So now we can work on the really tough one, which is that one. I've seen videos of people taking this one out before, and it looks like an absolute nightmare. So once again, it's going to be a case of getting the breaker bar on it and working at it, tighten, loosen, tighten, loosen, tighten, loosen. It's been soaking in plus gas for most of the morning, topping it up. So let's just see what happens. Now you have to excuse me, I've got arthritis, so standing up and down is a real struggle for me. So if it takes me time, that's why. That's actually flexing the breaker bar. It's that tight. Okay. Loosened it a little bit, so let's get it back in there. I'll go on manual control because all I want to do is work plus gas into it. So I'll tighten a bit. And then tighten. Use my torque drill. It won't undo it, but it will do is send shockwaves down it, which will help break some of the rust on the inside. You know what, it's so tight, what we might do is attack the other end first for shits and gigs. Oh, is that 19? Is it 20? No, it is 19. Get the knot off this end. It doesn't entirely resolve the problem. At least it feels like we're making some progress. Yeah, the reason why it's not turning at this end is it's so gunked up with rust. Nearly there. There we go. That's that one out. Okay. So let's have a look in there. The bolt is rotten. You can see it. I wonder if I can get to it with a steel brush. Any way in? No, there isn't. Right, what we're going to do is we're going to stick it on pause and I'm going to soak it in a bit more plus gas, see if that kind of helps free off some of that rust. Okay, so this is what we're having to deal with here on this particular bolt. As you can see, the amount of crust and rust and just rubbish that's stuck in there. So I've had an idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my Dremel with a wire brush on it, so as I can reach inside that gap and try and clear off as much of it as I possibly can. So I'll be back after I've had a cup of tea. Bye. Okay, so I got my Dremel and I put it inside here and cleaned as much of the rust off with a sandpaper attachment on it, on the bolt that actually goes through. So then I've soaked it in more plus gas. You can use WD-40, it's the same thing really. And now I'm back on with the breaker bar. So let's just see how we're doing. good sign, isn't it? I wonder if we can get the impact on it yet. Let's have a go. Okay, well, the impact doesn't really do much, but it is moving the bolt around, which means that we could perhaps start hitting it from the other side. Let's see what happens. Couple of millimeters. Okay, so this is going to be another one of those where you're just going to have to leave me to hit it through. I'll tell you how long it takes in a sec. So what I'm doing is I'm using the drill to, every time the bolt stops, it's because it's come up against a lump of rust. So I'm using the drill to break through that piece of rust. As you can see, every time I go through, a little bit more comes out. Clean off here and here, just inside. Okay. And then we'll tack it again. This will break through the rust again a bit more. It won't bring the bolt out, it just breaks through the rust. Okay, and then when you're hitting and it's not moving anymore, go back on the drill. On the drill, you'll hear it trying to crack it, you see. There we are. Take it through as far as you can. Back on the drill. Crack the rust a bit more. It's just starting to go, but it should make it. There we are. Move to a smaller punch. Further, crack it off a bit more. It's looking good, isn't it? we are nearly there. It's not as far as it will go. Look at that. And out. Oh, and look at the crud. I mean, that's why. So we need to make sure we give this a good clean. Okay, and try and remember. So there's a spacer. Sorry, there's a spacer first, then a washer, then another washer, and then the bolt. Alright, so keep that together. Cool, okay, so now, just turn this around a little bit. Need to get that one out, which will be nice and easy, but I just need to stand up for a sec because, like I said, I've got arthritis, so my knees tend to seize. So give me 2 ticks. Right, so from the inside there's a 22mm bolt that actually holds the suspension up. To get to it from the driver's side, which is the off side, you need to remove this part of the panel. Okay, it's held in with 3 screws. It's held in with 3 screws, one just there, and then 2 just here, and the 2 at the back are just behind the seat belt mount. Okay, so you undo those first. You sort of, what I did was I pulled the seats forward to give me better access, undid those 2, undid that one, and then using a trim remover tool like this, so you don't scratch anything, just leave it in the way. There is a cable there connecting the light, just pull that off. And then underneath, here's your mount area, and there is a piece of carpet that's already been cut out. And if you lift that up, there's a 22mm bolt underneath. So all we need to do now is undo that. When you first start undoing it, you'll feel the suspension strut twisting in here. Don't worry about it, just let it twist as far as it will go, and then it will get to a point where it can't twist anymore, but the bolt will crack, so you can then start undoing it. Fingers now. Nope, not quite. A bit more. Oh, that feels a bit better. There we go. And there we have it. Okay, so it's 22mm, right? Then underneath that is a part of the mount. It's a rubber mount to stop it from bouncing around all over the place. So we need to get that out. Access is really tight. Oh. Wouldn't be so bad if there was enough room that you could get your fingers underneath it. Obviously there isn't. That one out, okay, and then the rest of that will drop through when we go around the other side and we give it a good tug. Okay, Alright, so we'll stop there for now and I'll just move the camera around. Right, now hopefully with a bit of wriggling we can pull this out. One thing to be careful of is to make sure you've moved these cables. So this is the brake cable, and then we've got the ABS sensor cable, which is a fender cable around it. They're in little metal brackets. Just pull them out with a screwdriver and just make sure they're out of the way because you don't want them to snag. And then so keep watching those cables. Be careful. There we are. It's out. Oh, okay. We'll leave that for today. But what we'll do tomorrow is we'll look at whether or not this is going to be worth refurbishing and saving, or if we're going to have to go new. Okay. Hope this helps.